The reason: every alien dreads a human colony. The council chamber on Viridian Prime was the largest room Hana had ever seen. Crystal pillars stretched up into darkness, and holographic displays floated everywhere. Representatives from 40 different species sat in their designated areas, some breathing oxygen like her, others in specialized environment suits. Hana stood at the speaker's platform, her uniform crisp and new. She was only 30 years old, and this was her first major assignment as Earth's colonial representative. Across from her, Ambassador Krell shifted on his platform. He was Vortan, which meant his body looked like it was carved from purple crystal. When he moved, light reflected through him in strange patterns. Hana had learned to read Vortan emotions by watching those light patterns. Right now, Krell was angry and afraid. The humans request permission to colonize Kepler 442b, Krell said, his voice buzzing through the translation device. I stand here today to formally oppose this request. Hana frowned. This was unexpected. The Vortan had already agreed to the colony in preliminary talks. Kepler 442b was barely in their territory, and they had shown no interest in the planet themselves. It was a rocky world with thin air and little water, not valuable to anyone except humans looking for a new home. Ambassador Krell, the council speaker said. The speaker was a floating jellyfish-like creature from a water world. You have already reviewed the human proposal. You raised no objections. Why do you oppose it now? Krell's crystal body flashed red. Because I did not understand the danger. None of us did. But I have spent the last 3 months reviewing historical data. I have discovered something the council needs to know. He activated a holographic display. It showed a planet, green and blue, clearly thriving with life. This is New Tasmania. 20 years ago, my people operated a mining facility there. The planet is a human colony. Our mining site was 300 kilometers from the nearest human city. We followed all galactic laws. We had proper permits. We caused no trouble. The image changed, showing the same planet 10 years later. Within a decade, our mining operation began to fail. The soil around our facility changed. Our equipment corroded faster than it should. Native plants we had brought from our homeworld began to die. We had to abandon the operation. We lost millions of credits. Hana felt confused. Ambassador Krell, are you accusing humans of sabotage? Because I can assure you, no. Krell's light pattern shifted to a color Hana had never seen before. That is what makes this so disturbing. You did nothing. You simply existed, and somehow that was enough to destroy our operation. An elderly representative stood up. He was Telmari, one of the oldest species in the galaxy. His skin was wrinkled like tree bark, and his eyes were completely black. I can confirm Ambassador Krell's concerns, he said slowly. My people have observed humanity for 3 generations. We have noticed patterns. Patterns? The council speaker asked. Wherever humans establish colonies, the planets change, the Telmari elder said. At first, the changes are small. Soil composition shifts. Microbial life increases. Native plants near human settlements grow differently. But the changes accelerate. After 10 years, the changes are obvious. After 20 years, the changes are dramatic. After 50 years, the planet no longer resembles what it was before humans arrived. Hana felt her face grow hot. Elder Vosh, humans follow strict contamination protocols. We sterilize our equipment. We maintain sealed habitats. We follow every rule in the Galactic Colonial Charter. I know, Vosh said. That is what frightens me. The chamber erupted in conversation. Representatives turned to each other, speaking in dozens of languages. The translation devices struggled to keep up. Hana heard fragments. Impossible without deliberate action. Biological warfare. Need more data. The council speaker raised 3 tentacles, calling for silence. Ambassador Hana, can you explain these allegations? Hana took a deep breath. She had no idea what they were talking about. Earth's colonies followed the rules. They were careful. I cannot explain what I do not understand, she said honestly. Humans do not deliberately alter the planets we colonize. We respect native ecosystems. We maintain proper protocols. If changes are occurring, we are not aware of them. Krell made a sound like breaking glass. Not aware? How can you not be aware? New Tasmania is green now. Green. It was a red desert planet when you arrived. Now it has grass. Earth grass. Growing in the soil. Growing outside your settlements. Growing everywhere. Grass seeds can spread naturally, Hana said. Wind carries them. Animals carry them. That is basic biology. New Tasmania has no animals. Krell shouted. It had no animals when you arrived. Now it has earth insects, earth birds, small earth mammals. Your biology is spreading across the entire planet and you claim you are not aware? Hana felt sick. She had visited New Tasmania once 5 years ago. She remembered thinking it was beautiful. Green valleys, blue streams, forests in the distance. She had assumed that was the result of careful terraforming. But terraforming took centuries. New Tasmania had only been colonized for 20 years. The council must vote, Krell said. If you grant humans permission to colonize Kepler 442b, you are signing a death warrant for that world. It will become Earth, maybe not today, maybe not in 10 years, but it will happen. It always happens. Elder Vosh spoke again. I do not believe humans are malicious. I believe they are dangerous in a way they do not understand. But danger without understanding is still danger, perhaps more so. The council speaker was silent for a long moment. Then it spoke. We will vote. But first, Ambassador Hana, does Earth wish to respond to these accusations? Hana thought carefully. She could promise more studies, more protocols, more restrictions. But she did not even understand what Krell was accusing humans of doing. How could she promise to stop something she did not understand? Earth has always acted in good faith, she said finally. We follow galactic law. We respect other species. We will continue to do so. If the Council grants us permission to colonize Kepler 442b, we will prove that human colonies can coexist peacefully with the rest of the galaxy. The vote took 2 hours. Representatives argued and debated. Hana stood at her platform trying to look confident. Inside, she was terrified. If the Council rejected Earth's colonial rights, it would be a disaster. Humanity needed new worlds. Earth was overcrowded. The existing 6 colonies could not support humanity's growing population. Finally, the Council speaker announced the results. By a vote of 23 to 17, the Council grants humanity permission to establish a colony on Kepler 442b. Hana felt relief wash over her. They had won. But as she left the chamber, she passed Ambassador Krell. He looked at her with his crystalline eyes, and his body flashed a deep, dark purple. You have permission, he said quietly, but you have also been warned. When your people arrive on that world, watch carefully. Watch the soil. Watch what grows. Watch what changes. And then ask yourself, are you colonists or are you something else? Hana did not answer. She did not know what to say. That night, she sent a message to Earth. The message contained one request. Send scientists to Kepler 442b along with the colonists. Send people who can study what happens when humans arrive on a new world. Because Ambassador Krell was right about one thing. Humanity needed to understand what they were doing to these planets before it was too late. The reason. Every alien dreads a human colony. The colony ship Hallison dropped out of faster-than-light travel on a cold morning in March. Jiho stood on the bridge, watching the view screen as Kepler 442b came into view. The planet looked rough and unwelcoming. Brown and gray continents, thin clouds, small oceans. No green anywhere. It reminded him of Mars, except this planet actually had an atmosphere humans could almost breathe. Landing site confirmed, the navigation officer said. Northern continent valley region. Flat ground, access to underground water. Protection from the worst winds. Jiho nodded. He had reviewed the site data 100 times during the 2-year journey. The valley was perfect for their needs. Harsh but manageable. Begin landing procedures. Let us give 10,000 people a new home. The landing took 6 hours. One by one, the massive habitat domes were lowered to the surface. Each dome was the size of a small town, with buildings, parks, and systems to create breathable air. Inside the domes, colonists could live almost normally. Outside, the atmosphere was thin and the temperature was cold. But that would change. Eventually, Jiho was the last person to step onto the surface of the planet. He wore a basic environment suit, and his boots crunched on the rocky ground. The world smelled like dust and metal. He reached down and picked up a handful of soil. It was gray and lifeless. Nothing like Earth's rich brown dirt. He let it fall through his gloved fingers. Not much to look at, is it? A woman's voice said behind him. He turned to see Minji, the head of agricultural research. She was looking at the barren landscape with a critical eye. It is what we make of it, Jiho said. That is what I am afraid of, Minji said quietly. Jiho frowned. What do you mean? I read the council reports. The accusations from the Vortan, the concerns about our other colonies. Do you think there is truth to what they said? Jiho had thought about little else during the journey. I do not know. But we are here now. We will be careful. We will follow the protocols. That is all we can do. The first 3 months were busy. The colonists settled into their domes. They established schedules, jobs, schools for the children. Jiho sent regular reports back to Earth. Everything was proceeding according to plan. The colony was safe, stable, and growing. Minji spent most of her time in the research greenhouse. She was testing Earth crops in New Busan soil. That was what they called the planet now. New Busan, a name that reminded people of home. Her job was to see which plants could eventually grow outside the domes once the atmosphere improved. The official timeline said that would take 100 years, maybe longer. But something strange was happening. The plants were growing faster than they should. Not dramatically, just a little bit. 5% faster, maybe 10%. Minji checked her equipment. She recalibrated her sensors. She tested the soil again and again. But the results were consistent. Earth plants, when grown in New Busan soil, grew faster than the models predicted. She wrote a report and sent it to Jiho. He read it and marked it as a minor anomaly. Probably just measurement error. Nothing to worry about, but Minji worried anyway. Outside the domes, a group of children made a discovery. Daeho was 12 years old, and he was bored with life inside the dome. Everything was clean and controlled and boring. He wanted adventure. He wanted to explore. So when he found a crack in the maintenance corridor that led to an outside alcove, he saw an opportunity. The alcove was protected from the wind by rock walls. It was technically outside, but it had its own small atmosphere pocket. The air there was thin but not deadly. Daeho told his friends about it, and together they made a plan. They stole seeds from the greenhouse, tomatoes, peppers, wildflowers, small things that their parents had brought from Earth as mementos. They planted the seeds in the alcove in the gray New Busan soil. They watered them with water they smuggled from the dome. They called it their secret garden. Nobody expected the seeds to grow. The soil was wrong. The air was wrong. The temperature was wrong. But children have always believed in impossible things, and sometimes impossible things happen. 6 months after landing, the Vortan sent a representative. His name was Vrel, and he was younger than Krell but just as serious. He arrived in a small ship and requested a meeting with Jiho. I am here to conduct environmental surveys, Vrel said. His translation device made his voice sound flat and emotionless. My government wants to monitor the situation. For scientific purposes. Monitor what situation? Jiho asked. The changes, Vrel said simply. He would not explain further, but Jiho gave him permission to set up monitoring equipment around the colony. It seemed harmless. The Vorten team established several stations, each about a kilometer from the main domes. They pointed cameras and sensors at the ground. Not at the colony. At the ground, Minji watched them work. They are not watching us, she told Jiho. They are watching what we do to the planet. They are looking for the changes. What changes? Jiho asked, frustrated. We have been here 6 months. We have not changed anything. We stay in our domes. We follow the protocols. Come with me, Minji said. I want to show you something. She took him outside the dome to an area where construction workers had been building a new storage facility. The construction was finished now, but the workers had been there for weeks, walking back and forth, moving equipment, working in the soil. Minji knelt down and pointed at the ground. Look at the soil here, she said. Now look at the soil 10 meters away where no one has walked. Jiho looked. At first he saw no difference, but then he noticed it. The soil where the workers had been was darker. Not much, just a shade darker, and when Minji took a sample, it crumbled differently in her gloved hand. It looked almost like earth soil. Almost. This is not possible, Jiho said. We have only been here 6 months. Soil does not change in 6 months. Earth soil does not change in 6 months, Minji corrected. But we are not on Earth. And apparently when we walk on alien soil, something happens. Something I do not understand. She showed him more test results. Everywhere humans had worked, the soil was different. Microbial counts were higher. Organic content was higher. The soil was becoming more Earth-like. Not a lot, but measurably. We are following all the sterilization protocols, Jiho said. Our suits are sealed. Our equipment is clean. How is this happening? I do not know, Minji said. But it is happening. And it is happening faster than it should. That night, Jiho could not sleep. He kept thinking about Minji's findings. He kept thinking about Ambassador Krell's warnings. He kept thinking about New Tasmania, the colony that had turned green in 20 years. Meanwhile, in their secret garden, Daiho and his friends made a discovery. The tomato plants had sprouted. Small green shoots were pushing up through the gray soil. Against all odds, against all logic, earth plants were growing on New Busan, growing in soil that should have killed them, growing in air too thin to support them, growing anyway. Daiho's sister Suman looked at the tiny plants with wide eyes. How are they alive? She asked. I do not know, Daiho said. But they are. Life finds a way. That is what our teacher always says. He did not know how right he was. In their monitoring station, the Vortan team watched their sensors. The readings were clear. Biological markers were spreading from the human colony. Slowly, gradually, but spreading. The pattern was starting, just like it always did. Captain Vrel sent a message to Ambassador Krell. The message contained only 3 words. It is beginning. Minji returned to the construction site a week later. She wanted to collect more samples to track how fast the soil was changing. But when she arrived, she found something unexpected. A small plant was growing in the altered soil. She knelt down to examine it. It was not an earth plant. It was native to New Busan, a type of lichen that normally grew very slowly on rocks, but this lichen was growing fast. And it was a different color, darker green, healthier looking, as if the earth-altered soil was helping it grow better. Minji collected a sample very carefully. Back in her lab, she studied it for hours. The lichen had not changed genetically, but it was thriving in ways it should not. The earth microbes in the soil were somehow helping it, creating nutrients, breaking down minerals, making the soil better for all plants, both earth plants and New Busan plants. She sat back in her chair, suddenly understanding. Humans were not contaminating New Busan. They were transforming it, and they were doing it simply by existing. The reason every alien dreads a human colony. 1 year after landing on New Busan, Jiho stood in the observation tower looking at what the colony had become. 3 new habitat domes dotted the valley, a spaceport for cargo ships, industrial facilities, parks and schools. 20,000 people now called this place home. Earth was pleased with the progress. The reports Jiho sent were full of good news. Everything was ahead of schedule, but Jiho had started leaving things out of his reports. Small things. Things he did not fully understand yet. Things about the soil. Minji had expanded her research. She now had a team of 5 scientists studying what she called the anomalous growth zones. These were areas where the soil had changed, where earth microbes had established themselves, where the ground itself was becoming different. She had created maps showing these zones spreading outward from the colony, slowly, steadily, unstoppably. It is like watching a forest grow in fast motion, she told Jiho during one of their weekly meetings. Except we are the forest. Everywhere we go, everywhere we walk, everywhere we build, we change the planet. We cannot help it. It is what we are. Can we stop it? Jiho asked. Minji shook her head. We tried. We increased sterilization protocols. We limited outdoor activities. We created sealed walkways between buildings. Nothing works. The effect continues. In fact, I think it might be accelerating. She showed him new data. The anomalous zones were not just spreading. They were getting stronger. Soil that had been changed a year ago was now dramatically different from natural New Busan soil. Microbial diversity had increased by 300%. Organic content had doubled. The soil was alive in ways it had never been before. What is causing it? Jiho asked. Us, Minji said simply. Humans carry trillions of microorganisms. In our gut, on our skin, in our lungs. We are not individuals. We are ecosystems. And these microorganisms, they have evolved alongside humans for millions of years. They are very good at surviving, very good at adapting, very good at spreading. But our suits are sealed, Jiho protested. Nothing is perfectly sealed, Minji said. We shed skin cells. We exhale complex organic compounds. We leak biology constantly. Even in sealed suits, we are contaminating everything around us. Not with pollution, with life. Earth life. Jiho felt a chill run down his spine. So Ambassador Krell was right. We are changing the planet just by being here. Yes, Minji said. And I think it happens on every colony we establish. New Tasmania, New Nairobi, New Shanghai. All of them. The galaxy calls it contamination. But I am starting to think it is something else. I think it is terraforming. Unintentional terraforming. We are walking terraforming machines and we do not even know it. Meanwhile, Deho's secret garden had become something remarkable. Over the past year, he and his friends had kept it hidden. They watered the plants. They cleared away rocks. They added more seeds. The alcove was now filled with earth plants. Tomatoes grew heavy on their vines. Peppers turned red and yellow. Wildflowers bloomed in colors that New Busan had never seen before. But the children had noticed something else. Native New Busan lichens were growing near the earth plants, growing faster than lichens should grow, and changing. Their color was deeper. Their structure was different. The children watched as two biospheres separated by millions of years of evolution began to merge. Do you think we should tell someone? Suman asked her brother one day. She was 9 years old now and she was starting to understand that their secret garden might be important. Not yet, Deho said. Adults will just make rules and restrictions. They will take away our garden. Let us keep it a little longer. Let us see what happens. What happened was that Earth life and New Busan life learned to coexist. The microbes in the soil helped the lichens grow. The lichens in turn helped break down rock into soil. The earth plants provided shade and moisture. The whole system became more complex, more diverse, more alive. The alcove was becoming a tiny ecosystem, a preview of what New Busan might become. Captain Vrel requested another meeting with Jiho. He arrived with data tablets and a serious expression. Governor Jiho, I need to show you what my team has discovered. He activated a holographic display. It showed a map of the region around New Busan colony. Concentric circles radiated outward from the settlement. Red zones marked areas where the soil had changed significantly. Yellow zones showed moderate change. Green zones showed minor change. The circles were expanding. This is what we have observed over the past year, Vrel said. Your colony is generating biological expansion patterns. The altered soil is spreading at an average rate of 100 meters per year. At this rate, the entire valley will be affected within a decade. The entire continent within a century. Jiho stared at the map. We have strict contamination protocols. We follow galactic law. What more can we do? I do not know, Vrel said quietly. And that is what frightens my people. You are not breaking laws. You are not using bioweapons. You are simply living, and somehow that is enough to transform an entire world. He pulled up more data. My government has been reviewing records from your other colonies. The pattern is consistent. New Tasmania has been colonized for 20 years. 43% of the main continent has been biologically altered. New Nairobi, 15 years. 28% altered. New Shanghai, 10 years. 16% altered. The numbers vary, but the pattern is always the same. Human colonies spread Earth biology. Always. Is that illegal? Jiho asked carefully. No, Vrel admitted. There is no law against unintentional biological transformation. The Galactic Colonial Charter assumes that contamination can be controlled through proper protocols. But humans prove that assumption wrong. Your biology is too aggressive, too adaptable, too successful. After Vrel left, Jiho called an emergency meeting with Minji and her research team. They discussed the Vortan data. They compared it with their own findings. Everything matched. New Busan was changing. And humans were the cause. A young scientist named Taejin spoke up. He was a xenobiologist who had joined the colony specifically to study this phenomenon. I have been developing a theory, he said nervously. I call it the Keystone Terraforming Vector Hypothesis. Explain, Jiho said. On Earth, certain species are called keystone species, Taejin said. They are animals or plants that have a huge impact on their entire ecosystem. Remove them and the ecosystem collapses. Add them to a new place and the ecosystem transforms. I think humans are a keystone species, but not just for Earth, for any planet we go to. He pulled up his own data. Humans are not alone. We are accompanied by thousands of species of bacteria, fungi, and microorganisms. This is our microbiome. It lives on us, in us, around us. And it is incredibly good at what it does. It breaks down rock into soil. It creates nutrient cycles. It makes environments more hospitable for complex life. On Earth, this is normal. But on other planets it is revolutionary. Minji leaned forward. So you are saying that humans do not just carry contamination. We carry an entire terraforming system, and we deploy it everywhere we go just by existing. Exactly, Taijin said. We are walking terraformers. Every human is a seed, and every seed we plant grows into Earth. The news reached the Galactic Council within days. Ambassador Krell demanded an immediate quarantine of New Busan. He presented the Vortan data as evidence of human biological aggression. Other species joined his call. The insectoid Kavresh, the aquatic Delphori, even some species that had previously supported humanity, began to express concern. But Elder Vosh of the Telmari spoke in humanity's defense. I have reviewed the same data, he told the council, and I see something different. Yes, humans change planets, but look at the results. Increased biodiversity, more complex ecosystems, richer soil, more stable atmospheres. Human colonies do not destroy worlds, they revitalize them. The council chamber erupted in argument. Some species saw humans as a threat, others saw them as an opportunity, but everyone agreed on one thing. Humanity was unlike any species the galaxy had ever encountered. They did not conquer through weapons or technology. They conquered through biology, through persistence, through the simple act of existing. Back on New Busan, Daiho made a decision. He told his parents about the secret garden. He showed them the thriving plants, the adapted lichens, the tiny ecosystem they had created. His mother cried. His father was angry, but when they brought officials to see it, everyone fell silent. Minji examined the garden carefully. This should not be possible, she said. These plants should be dead. The soil should have killed them. But instead, they adapted, and they helped the native life adapt too. This is proof of concept. This is what New Busan could become. Jiho stood in the alcove looking at tomatoes growing under an alien sky. He thought about Ambassador Krell's words from a year ago. Watch the soil. Watch what grows. Watch what changes. He was watching now, and what he saw terrified and amazed him in equal measure. Humans were not just colonists. They were something much more powerful. They were gardeners, and their garden was the entire galaxy. The reason. Every alien dreads a human colony. 3 years had passed since the first humans landed on New Busan. The colony now housed 50,000 people. But more importantly, the planet itself had changed in ways nobody could deny. Satellite images showed green patches spreading across the valleys, not the gray-green of native lichens, but the vibrant green of earth plants. The transformation was visible from space. Jiho reviewed the latest survey data with a heavy heart. The anomalous growth zones now covered over 3,000 square kilometers. Everywhere humans had built roads, settlements, or facilities, the soil had changed. And in that changed soil, earth plants were growing wild. Nobody was planting them. Seeds were spreading naturally now, carried by wind, carried by the small earth insects that had somehow established themselves, carried by life itself. The Vortan Collective had filed another formal protest with the Galactic Council. But this time they brought evidence that could not be ignored. Ambassador Krell stood before the council with representatives from 3 other Vortan colony worlds. Each one told the same story. 10 years ago, we shared a continent on Kepler 186f with a human settlement, one representative said. Our cities were separated by 500 kilometers. We had our own farms, our own industries. But within 5 years, our crops began to fail. The soil chemistry changed. Our native plants could not adapt fast enough. We tried to compensate with fertilizers, with genetic modifications, with everything we could think of. Nothing worked. The soil wanted to be earth soil, and eventually it became earth soil. Another Vortan representative spoke. We lost 3 major agricultural centers. Millions of our people had to relocate, not because of war, not because of politics, because the ground itself became hostile to our biology. Meanwhile, human farmers in the same region saw record harvests. Their crops thrived in soil that killed ours. Krell's crystalline body flashed a deep, mournful purple. We do not accuse humans of deliberate harm, but the result is the same. Wherever humans establish colonies, other species cannot thrive, not because humans are warriors, but because humans are too alive, too successful, too dominant biologically. Ambassador Heejin, who had replaced Hana as Earth's representative, stood to respond. She was older than Hana, with gray hair and tired eyes. She had spent the last 2 years preparing for this moment. The Vorton testimony is disturbing, but I want to be clear about something. Humans do not control this process. We are not deliberately terraforming these worlds. We are simply existing. Is existence a crime? Perhaps it is. A Kavresh representative clicked through its translator. The Kavresh were insectoid, with multiple limbs and compound eyes. Your existence threatens our existence. That makes you a threat. Intent does not matter. Results matter. The debate raged for hours. Species after species presented their concerns. 17 different civilizations had filed complaints about human colonies. All told similar stories. Changed soil. Failed crops. Ecosystems shifting to favor Earth biology. Native species struggling to compete. But not everyone was against humanity. Elder Vosh spoke again, his ancient voice calm and measured. I have lived for 300 years. I have seen species rise and fall. I have seen empires conquer and collapse. But I have never seen anything like humanity. You are not conquerors. You are transformers. And perhaps the galaxy needs transformation. He displayed his own data. I have studied human colony worlds extensively. Yes, they change. But look at the results after 20, 30, 40 years. Increased biodiversity, more stable climates, richer ecosystems. Planets that were marginal become thriving. Dead worlds become gardens. Is this truly a crime? Back on New Busan, a man named Kyung-ho was conducting an experiment. He had been a park ranger back on Earth in the forests of Gangwon Province. He missed trees more than anything, so he had done something unauthorized, something that could get him arrested. In a valley 30 kilometers from New Busan City, he had planted earth trees, oaks, pines, birches. He had spent 2 years preparing the site, treating the soil with compost from the colony's organic waste, adding earth microbes, creating an environment where trees might survive. He had not told anyone. He had just worked quietly and patiently, and the trees were growing, not just surviving, thriving. The valley was becoming a forest. A real forest like the ones Kyung-ho remembered from Earth. The trees were young, only 3 years old, but they were healthy. Their roots dug deep into New Busan soil. Their leaves turned sunlight into energy. They were making the planet home. Minji discovered the forest during a survey flight. She saw the green patch from the air and ordered the pilot to land. When she walked among the trees, she felt tears in her eyes. It was beautiful. It was also probably illegal. She called Jiho immediately. We have a situation, she said. Jiho arrived an hour later with a security team. They found Kyung-ho sitting under an oak tree waiting for them. He did not run. He did not hide. He just sat there looking peaceful. I know I broke the protocols, Kyung-ho said. I know I could be punished. But look around you. Look at what this could be. New Busan could have forests. Real forests. Not in 100 years, now. We have the power to make this world beautiful. Should we not use it? Jiho looked at the trees. He thought about the rules. He thought about the Galactic Colonial Charter. He thought about Ambassador Krell's warnings. Then he thought about his children who had never seen a real forest, who had only known life inside domes and controlled environments. I should arrest you, Jiho said slowly, but I am not going to. Because you are right. This is beautiful, and maybe that is what we should be doing. Making beauty, not apologizing for existing. He made a decision that would change everything. He sent a message to Earth. He sent images of Kyung-ho's forest. He sent data about the changing soil. He sent Minji's research. He sent everything. And he included a proposal. Stop pretending humans can colonize without changing planets. Accept what we are, and use it wisely. In her laboratory, Minji and Taejin made a breakthrough. They had been studying native New Busan organisms that had adapted to Earth-influenced environments. What they found was astonishing. Look at this, Taejin said, showing Minji images of a native species. It was a small worm-like creature that normally burrowed in rock. But this one had been found in Earth-altered soil. Its biology had changed, not through genetic modification, through natural adaptation. It had evolved to eat Earth organic matter. It had developed new enzymes, new metabolic pathways. In just 3 years, it had become a new species. Evolution usually takes thousands of years, Minji said. Millions of years. But this happened in 3 years. How? Because we gave them an opportunity, Taejin explained. Earth microbes create rich, complex environments. They provide resources that were never available before. Native species that can adapt quickly have access to new food sources, new habitats, new possibilities. We are not killing the native life. We are creating new niches for it. The ones that can adapt will thrive more than they ever did before. They published their findings in a paper that spread throughout the galaxy. The title was simple: Humans as Catalysts for Accelerated Evolution. The data showed that human colony worlds had higher rates of speciation than natural worlds. New species were emerging. Hybrid ecosystems were forming. Life was becoming more diverse, not less. The Galactic Council was forced to reconvene. The debate had shifted. It was no longer about whether humans changed planets. That was proven. The question now was whether that change was harmful or beneficial. 3 proposals emerged from the debate. The containment faction, led by the Vortan, wanted strict limits. No more than 10 human colony worlds, massive buffer zones around each one. No new colonies for 1,000 years. The coexistence faction, led by the Telmari, proposed a different approach. Accept human terraforming as a natural phenomenon. Create protocols for managed expansion. Allow species that wanted to benefit from human biology to co-colonize human worlds. The isolation faction, led by the Kavresh, wanted to ban humans from the galactic community entirely, restrict them to Earth and their existing colonies. No contact, no expansion. Treat them as a biological hazard. Ambassador Heejin addressed the council one final time before the vote. I understand your fears. I truly do. Humans are different. We change things. We cannot help it. But I want to say something that might sound arrogant. Maybe the galaxy needs us. Maybe dead worlds are supposed to become gardens. Maybe life is supposed to spread, to adapt, to transform. We did not ask to be what we are. But we are here, and we are offering partnership to anyone who wants it. We will share our worlds. We will share our knowledge. We will help other species benefit from what we do, or you can lock us away and the galaxy will remain as it has always been. Static, unchanging, stable, but also less alive. The vote would take place in 1 week. During that time, Hyejin received a message from New Busan. It was from Jiho. It contained a single image. A child standing under an oak tree. The child was smiling. The tree was healthy. The sky was alien, but the ground was becoming Earth, and somehow that felt right. The reason. Every alien dreads a human colony. 10 years after the first humans landed on New Busan, the planet was unrecognizable. From orbit, it looked like a different world. Green belts surrounded every settlement. Forests grew in the valleys. Blue lakes reflected the alien sun. The atmosphere was thicker, richer in oxygen. A person could walk outside without a full environment suit now. Just a basic respirator and warm clothes. The planet was becoming Earth. Governor Jiho stood in Kyungho's forest, which was no longer Kyungho's forest. It was simply the forest. Thousands of people visited it every week. Children played among the trees. Couples walked the paths. Scientists studied the ecosystem. The forest had become the symbol of New Busan, a promise of what the planet could be. But Jiho felt the weight of what they had done. He walked to a memorial marker at the forest's edge. It listed 17 native species that had gone extinct, species that could not adapt fast enough, species that had lost their habitats to earth plants, species that had died so that this forest could live. You come here often, a voice said behind him. Jiho turned to see Minji. She was older now, with lines around her eyes. 10 years of research had aged her. I come to remember what we have destroyed, he said quietly. And what we have created, Minji added. She pointed to a tree where a native New Busan creature was building a nest. The creature looked like a cross between a bird and a lizard. That species did not exist 10 years ago. It evolved from a ground-dwelling scavenger. It developed wings to access the trees. It learned to eat earth seeds. It adapted. Life adapts. 17 species did not adapt, Jiho said. No, Minji agreed. They did not. And I grieve for them. But I also celebrate the 34 new species that have emerged. The hybrid ecosystems, the increased diversity. Change has a price, but it also has rewards. The Galactic Council's vote had happened 8 years ago. It had been close. Very close. 23 species voted for the coexistence proposal. 20 voted for containment or isolation. The galaxy had chosen to live with humanity, to adapt to them, just as New Busan's native life had adapted. Under the new protocols, human colonies were allowed to continue. But with changes. Every colony had to include ecological monitoring teams, protected zones for native species, partnership programs with other species who wanted to benefit from human terraforming, and most importantly, honesty. Humans could no longer pretend they were not changing the planets. They had to accept what they were and use that power responsibly. 3 new human colonies had been established under the new system. New Jeju, New Oslo, New Mumbai. Each one was paired with scientists from a dozen species, all studying the transformation, learning how to manage it, learning how to benefit from it. The Telmari had even established their own settlement on New Jeju, specifically to see if their crops could thrive in human-altered soil. The early results were promising, but not everyone was happy. The Vortan Collective maintained their buffer zones. They wanted nothing to do with human colonies. Ambassador Krell had retired, replaced by younger Vortan who were less diplomatic. The tension remained. In New Busan City, Daiho was now 22 years old. He was a terraforming engineer, trained at Earth's best universities and experienced in New Busan's unique ecosystem. He worked for the Colonial Development Authority, managing the spread of Earth biology. It was strange work, deliberately spreading life while trying to protect what remained of the old world. Balance. Always balance. His sister Sumin had become a starship pilot. She was assigned to the colony ship Jirisan, which was preparing to take 10,000 colonists to New Jeju. She visited Daiho before her departure. "Do you ever feel guilty?" she asked him. They were sitting in the original secret garden, which was now a memorial park. The tomato plants were long gone, but the site was maintained as a reminder of where the transformation began. "Every day," Daiho said, "but I also feel proud. We have made this world beautiful. People can walk outside now. Children can play in forests. That is worth something." "Even if we destroyed what was here before?" Sumin asked. "Even then," Daiho said, "because the alternative is to stay in our domes forever, to never touch the worlds we claim, to exist but never truly live. That is not who humans are. We touch things. We change things. We make things grow. That is our nature." Sumin thought about this. New Jeju is different from New Busan. It has native complex life, animals, plants, a real biosphere. "What will happen when we arrive?" "I do not know," Daiho admitted, "but I know we will change it. We always do. The question is whether we can change it wisely, whether we can create something beautiful without destroying everything that was there before. That is the challenge of our generation." Across the galaxy, the debate about humanity continued. Some species embraced humans. They colonized alongside them, learning to benefit from the biological transformation. The Telmari became humanity's closest allies. Their crops thrived in human-altered soil. Their scientists made breakthrough discoveries studying human microbiomes. Other species remained suspicious. The Vortan maintained their distance. The Kavresh refused all contact. Dozens of species watched and waited, trying to decide if humans were friends or threats. But slowly, opinion was shifting. As the decades passed, the results became clear. Human colony worlds were thriving. Not just the humans, but the planets themselves. Atmospheres improved. Water cycles stabilized. Biodiversity increased. Yes, native species were lost, but new species emerged. And the overall result was planets that were more alive, more complex, more vibrant than before. Minji, now the director of New Busan's Planetary Biology Institute, published her final major research paper. It was titled, "The Garden Theory of Human Colonization." In it, she argued that humans were not conquerors or contaminators. They were gardeners. They took marginal worlds and made them gardens. They did it unconsciously, automatically, inevitably. It was what they were designed to do by millions of years of evolution. The paper was controversial but widely read. It changed how many species thought about humanity. Gardens were not bad things. Gardens were beautiful. Gardens were where life flourished. Maybe humanity's gift to the galaxy was not technology or diplomacy. Maybe it was gardens. On the day Sumin's ship left for New Jeju, Daiho stood in the memorial forest and planted a seed. It was an oak seed from the original tree that Kyungho had planted. He buried it in pure New Busan soil. No treatment, no enhancements, just the seed and the soil and the hope that life would find a way. "In 50 years, this will be a great tree," he said to the small crowd gathered to watch. "In 100 years, this valley will be covered in forest. In 200 years, people will walk here and forget that New Busan was ever anything but Earth." Someone in the crowd asked, "Is that good or bad?" Deho smiled. "It is what it is. We are what we are. Humans make gardens. That is our purpose. That is our gift. That is our burden. And that is why every alien dreads a human colony. Not because we are warriors. Not because we are cruel. But because we are gardeners. And once we plant a seed, it will grow. It will spread. It will transform everything around it. You cannot stop a garden once it has been planted." Governor Jiho, standing nearby, added his own thoughts. "But gardens are not wild places. Gardens are cultivated, managed, cared for. We have learned that lesson. We cannot stop being what we are. But we can be better gardeners. We can protect what remains while nurturing what grows. We can remember what we have lost while celebrating what we have created. That is the balance we must find." Ambassador Hyejin, who had traveled to New Busan for the ceremony, spoke last. "The galaxy will watch us. They will judge us. Some will fear us. Some will welcome us. But they will all see what we can do. We turn dead rocks into living worlds. We carry Earth in our very cells and spread it across the stars. That is humanity's place in the galaxy. We are the gardeners of dead worlds. We are the bringers of life. And yes, we are feared for it. But perhaps someday we will also be thanked." As the ceremony ended, Sumin prepared to board her shuttle to the Jirisan. She looked back at New Busan one last time. The green planet, the living world, the garden that 10,000 humans had planted simply by existing. She thought about New Jeju, waiting for her across the void. A new world, a new garden, a new beginning. She whispered to herself, "Let us make it beautiful." The shuttle rose into the sky, carrying humanity's hope to another world. Below in the memorial forest, Deho's oak seed lay in the soil, waiting, growing, dreaming of becoming a tree, of becoming a forest, of transforming another piece of alien ground into earth, because that was what humans did. They made gardens, and once a garden was planted, it could never truly be removed. It would grow. It would spread. It would endure. That was the reason every alien dreads a human colony, not because humans were monsters, but because humans were life itself, unstoppable, inevitable, eternal. And perhaps in the end, that was exactly what the galaxy needed.